Alrighty, hey and everybody, it's Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust. I want to welcome you all to the broadcast. Hope everybody's doing really well today. It is a fantastic day. We're having a little technical difficulties, but that's all right. Guys, don't worry about it. We'll get this all under control. Today, we are going to talk about President Trump. Yeah, we're going to talk about President Trump and how he has, literally just flipped over the world and how they're reacting to the news of the ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the hostages, and all of that on this week's presentation of In God We Still Trust. And we'll be back in just a second, folks. This is going to be fantastic. Alrighty, hey, and welcome everybody. Once again, this is Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust. I want to thank you all for being a part of the broadcast. And this is probably the most exciting thing that has happened, in the history of mankind. It really has. Other than the second coming of Jesus Christ, this will probably be the most exciting thing that has ever happened to anybody, anywhere on this planet. And that is the return of the hostages to the Middle East. This story is out of Christianity Today, you guys. And it really highlights what happened this week. We're going to talk a little bit about the hostages coming back into to Israel. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the Middle East. Maybe even talk a little bit about what has happened since then, because that happened a few days ago. And really what has happened in the Middle East since then, because it's a lot of stuff has happened. There's just so much. So let's start with first things first. In the Middle East, folks, Monday, October 7th, the hostages began to come back to the Middle East. And for those of you who maybe you just weren't, aware of what was going on, Hezbollah had gone into Israel on October 6th, about 2 years ago, killed about 1,200 people, and then took 250 hostages into underground bunkers and have been holding them captive ever since. The United States and Israel have brokered a deal with Hamas after a little persuasion. Yeah, the persuasion was that we'll continue to blow up Gaza until we get our hostages back. And finally, Hamas said, "Okay, we agree with what you want. We're tired of getting blown up," and so they. And here's the story. This is out of Christianity Today. It says Hamas released all 20 of the remaining living Israeli hostages on Monday. Israeli military said. Meanwhile, Israel released nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees as part of a ceasefire deal. There was a video that was released showing the father of a released hostage. His name is Etan Moore, weeping with joy as he embraced his son. Moore was 25 and was working as a security guard at the time. He was at the music festival that was going on at the time on October 7th when Hamas members took him hostage. Fantastic story, folks. I mean, this has probably been the feel-good story of the year. Literally, it is. And this highlights what the president has been doing over 8 months. Actually, even starting before that, because he started doing this during his first term when he started really shaking things up in the Middle East, brokered the Abraham Accords, continued with that, with the recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, moving our embassy to Jerusalem. I mean, it was just amazing things that the president has done. And in his second term now, arguably the most prolific, I don't know, what would you call it? Prolific display of statesmanship that any man could do. And what has he done? He's basically said, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to broker peace deals all over the place, and he has in Azerbaijan, in the Congo, now in the Middle East, and now this is like the 8th one that he has done, and it's just amazing. So people are, at this point, we're waiting on pins and needles. Everybody's kind of worried whether or not this is going to hold. But right now, folks, it looks like things are looking up, and so we're very, very excited for the future in the Middle East. Isn't that wonderful, folks? So there were 20 live hostages that were returned home to their family, and as of today, I believe there were 28 other bodies of people who died, who were killed, who were murdered by Hamas. And of those 28 that were still remaining who are bodies, I believe they've returned about 6 or 8 of them right now. And Hamas is saying, well, we don't know where everybody's at. And so our prayers go out to the families of those folks who are still waiting for their family members to come home, because this is it's a momentous time, and we want to see those bodies come home. We want to see all these people come home. We've got so much more that we're going to talk about here today, because we still have a lot to talk about. What is the effect of this on the Middle East, and also what's happening here in the United States as a result of it. This is Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust. We'll be back in just a moment, folks, with more of In God We Still Trust. Stick around. Alrighty, we are back, folks. It's Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust. I want to welcome all the folks that are watching us on YouTube. Sometimes I forget. You get so excited about getting this stuff out there, talking about all the cool things that are going on in the world, and how God is just having a miraculous effect on the world, that you sometimes forget about it. And so I want to welcome anybody who's watching us on our YouTube channel. Don't have a lot of chance to actually get on there. I will, after the end of the show, I'll answer any of the questions that you might have. So definitely check us out on our YouTube channel. You can actually check us out on our Facebook page. Also, you can get any of these broadcasts on Apple, Spotify, and on Godstream TV. Yeah, so just type in God We Still Trust, and you'll get right to our website. Okay, God We Still Trust. You'll get to our Godstream channel. Okay, I want to apologize also. We've got just a little bit of technical difficulties trying to make sure that everything works just fine, but sometimes, those things don't happen. So if you see me looking away, you know what we're talking about. This is an AP story. Many of you know that there's a government shutdown that is going on right now in the United States. We are in our 3rd week of a government shutdown. This is an AP story, and it says the government shutdown could be the longest ever, says Speaker Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson predicted Monday that the federal government shutdown may become the longest in history, saying he won't negotiate with Democrats until they hit pause on their health care demands and reopen. Standing alone in the Capitol on the 13th day of the shutdown, this was a couple of days ago, the speaker said he was unaware of the details of the thousands of federal workers being fired by President Trump administration. It's a highly unusual mass layoff. And here's let me roll this up into a kind of a neat bow for you. The House has passed a continuing resolution, which means that when they come up to these budget disputes, that the House will normally vote on a continuing resolution to keep the government open, keep all the services going, nothing changes, and they will continue everything going, and they do it for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Might be a month, 2 or 3 months. And up until this time, everybody has always voted to have this continuing resolution while they're still negotiating all the terms of new legislation or anything else like that. They don't add anything to it. They don't take anything away from the budget. Nothing happens. It's a continuing resolution. Except for this time. Democrats have said, no, you know what? We don't want to do anything like normal. What we want to do is we want to add on this. Oh, money for illegal aliens. We want to add this. We want to do this. And the Republicans are going, no, we're not going to add anything on any. This is a continuing resolution. You know, the same one that it's the same bill, the same legislation that's been in order right now. That's what we're going to continue with, and we'll discuss all these other things in the next couple of weeks. We'll negotiate these things. And the Democrats go, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to shut the government down. We don't care what you Republicans want. We're going to shut the government down. And that is exactly what has happened. Chuck Schumer, who's the minority leader in the Senate, has basically flinched because he's going to be primaried probably by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for doing the same thing, signing on to a continuing resolution. Or the last time this came up, he showed that he could be pragmatic, and so he worked with the Trump administration last time, and he caught heck as a result of it. Democrats basically said, look, you're not supposed to work with them. You're not supposed to work for the American people. You're supposed to work for us. And so Chuck Schumer bowed, bent over, and did everything he could to show that he's a tough guy. And so what has happened as a result of this? We're in the third week of a government shutdown now, because Democrats want to continue to put things in play that were never in play before. They want to pay for illegal aliens' health care. They want to add things onto Obamacare. They want to do all kinds of things. They want to have money. And I saw a list of all the things that they really want as a result of this. And it's amazing. Millions of dollars going to Africa. Millions of dollars going to South America. They want to continue. They're just saying, hey, we're going to make this as goofy as we possibly can, and because we're just going to do this. In addition to that, and it's a story that we're going to be doing a little later, but we'll mention it now. This weekend, they planned this thing called the No Kings Rally. Some of you have probably heard about it before. Maybe even saw a few geriatric people out there in your hometown. All across the land, there were probably 2,000 of these, or somewhere there's about No Kings rallies. And in these No Kings rallies, it was the same thing it was last year. It was where people go stomping around saying, we don't have a king, we're against President Donald Trump. And they wave their hands and everything else like that. Speculation was that they did not want to open up the federal government until after the No Kings rally. Because guess what? They would catch heck from those No Kings rally people. They're all on the same side. The Democrat Party, No Kings rally folks, Antifa, and anarchists like that, who don't care about the American people. Because as a result of this, folks, this is another sideline I don't think that nobody tells you about. When the government is not opened, people don't get paid. Government employees don't get paid. Social workers don't get paid. Welfare checks don't go out. The military doesn't get paid. But I want you to understand something. The president has done everything he can to make sure the military gets paid. Essential services are going to continue to get paid. They've got money that has not been spent yet, that the federal government has not, that is still there, that has not been spent yet, and they're moving things around to make sure that our men and women in the military get paid. So, those folks are getting paid, but everybody else is getting shut down. That's why this AP story said that thousands of federal workers are going to be laid off. Well, those thousands of federal workers are in posts and in positions that Democrats, I guess, didn't realize this. When the government gets laid off, gets shut down for too long, the president has the ability to say, okay, well, I'm just going to cut these jobs and they're not coming back. And these jobs are in fat and in waste areas in the government that Doge had identified to be cut in the first place. And now the president is going to J.D. Vance and to the people who are in the offices of procurement and everything else, and he's saying just cut those jobs. Yeah, just cut those jobs completely, because they are not essential jobs to the functioning of the federal government. This is crazy, folks. We're going into week number 3. Chuck Schumer needs to decide. Hakeem Jeffries needs to decide what they're going to do. Because guess what? The American people at some point are going to get really upset. They're going to get very fed up with the fact that all these things are happening, and they are not going to be happy. We'll be back in just a minute more, folks, with the In God We Still Trust. This is Pastor Sherman Ray. Stick around. We'll be back in just a minute. Alrighty, we are back, folks. This is Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust. I want to thank you all for being a part of the broadcast, and things are going by so fast, guys. We try to get these broadcasts out, once a week by 12 o'clock, and sometimes we're just running behind. I want to assure you, though, fear not, we will get these out. We will get these out, and we'll make sure that you get up to date on what is going on around the nation, maybe a recap of what's going on, and what we as Christians can do. I do a lot of studying about the founding fathers and the things that they thought were important for this country. And I'll tell you, folks, we need those guys back. I mean, no, I know we've probably said this before, but we need these guys back because they had a different take on what was going on in America. They had a different take on morals. They had a different take on Christianity. They had a whole different take on patriotism. And if they saw what was going on in America right now, they would go apoplectic. I can imagine John Adams right now going, "Who is this Mamdani guy? What? You're going to elect a socialist as the leader of the most populous city, the biggest city in America, the most important city in America? You're going to allow a Muslim socialist? Oh my gosh!" And they would go crazy. I mean, they would just simply go, and people are voting for them. That's the thing about it. So, but I digress. There was a story. Many of you know that the president has once again brokered a peace deal in the Middle East, and this show is really going to focus around what has been the effect of this. There's a Breitbart story, and this is the GOP is celebrating Trump's historic peace deal. He accomplished what no other world leader could have done, and this is big. I mean, it really is. Conservatives across the country on Monday celebrated President Trump's historic peace deal, noting that he accomplished what no other world leader could have done, or even attempted to do. Trump told Israel's parliament, the Knesset, on Monday that this is not only the end of the war, this is cool, but the end of an age of terror and death and the beginning of an age of faith and hope, declaring a golden age. Get this, a golden age for both Israel and the Middle East. And this is the big thing. And I think this is something that, and why so many people in the Middle East signed on to this. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, all of these other nations who normally before would never speak to Israel, would never even consider having a peace deal with them, all of a sudden said, "Hey, peace? You mean we could have peace in the Middle East? We can actually build things. We don't have to fight against our brothers, because that's what the Israelis are. The Israelis are the brothers of the Arabs. Okay. We don't have to fight. We don't have to worry about Iran. We don't. You see, before this, and here, let me give you a setup for what happened to lead up to this whole thing. Is that the boldness of Donald Trump led to, okay, the bombing of the nuclear sites in Iran, because Iran is at the crux of this whole thing. Iran is like this brother or a cousin. Let's make him a cousin, okay? You don't want them too close. They're like a distant cousin of all the Arab countries that you just don't invite to the bowling game. You don't invite them to the picnic because they're just those people, okay? And they are always trying to do something to screw up everything. And so, and they fund all the terrorism in the Middle East. They fund all the proxy wars. They're always trying to have a fatwa against Israel. They're always, they're always doing something, okay? And the Arabs, most of the Arab states, is, the Saudis and all those guys, they just kind of wanted to spend money, okay? They just want to make money, and they put up with Iran because they don't want Iran coming at them, but they really don't want them around. Well, President Trump did something that no other president did before him. As a matter of fact, Obama, Iran, when he was working with Iran, sent him plane loads of money. Joe Biden, when he was the president, not only did not hold Iran's feet to the fire, but he allowed them to start enriching uranium again so they could get closer and closer to a nuclear bomb. President Trump, on the other hand, this is how effective President Trump has been for the gospel and for peace in the Middle East, is these people were afraid of President Trump becoming president. As a matter of fact, a couple of the hostages coming out from captivity said that Hamas was afraid that Donald Trump was going to become president. They wanted Hillary Clinton to become president. Matter of fact, they wanted what's her name? Kamala Harris. They wanted her to become president rather than Donald Trump, because they knew if Donald Trump came in, he was going to end everything. And he did. He bombed the nuclear sites at Fordo, at 3 or 4 different sites in Iran, basically cut the head off of that snake and stopped all the terrorism in the Middle East. And when he did that, guess what? All the Arabs went, did he do that? Did he do that? He actually cut off the head of the snake. Yes! We can all breathe a sigh of relief now. And so now when Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis were starting to come after Israel, they had no more backup anymore. They didn't have Iran to back them up anymore. And so it was very easy for the Arab states to go, yes, we are with you, President Trump, to bring peace and prosperity to this land. And especially when President Trump said something like this is very brilliant. He's a real estate guy. He's a business guy. He looked at Gaza and he says, you guys are right on the Mediterranean. I mean, you guys are right on the water. This is waterfront property. Are you kidding me? After they bombed the crap out of you, let's rebuild that place and let's put some condos up there. Let's make this the Mediterranean. Let's make this the beach resort it should be. And the Saudis go, what? Beachfront? Because they're in the middle of the desert. Beachfront property? We're in. That's the Trump effect, guys. That's what has happened as a result of this. And so now people are jumping up and down. They are so jumping up and down. The peace has to hold, though, guys. The peace has to hold. And guess what? If it does not hold, I'm telling you right now, this is what's going to happen. We've already heard that that Hamas is already going into Gaza and killing any Palestinians who helped, and there were a lot, who helped achieve the goal of Israel of getting Hamas out. They're going around, they're killing these people. They're not shooting Israelis, okay, because they're not crazy, okay, but they're going around killing their own people in revenge trying to intimidate the people and saying, hey, look, you guys, you screwed us, so we're going to screw you type thing. But we're just praying. We just keep praying, guys. Just keep praying that that the peace holds. We've got to see peace hold in this land, because if we don't, the immediate outcome is going to be war. It's going to be war again and again. So we don't want that in this part of the land, okay? Anyways, it's Pastor Sherman Ray. We'll be back in just a minute with more of In God We Still Trust. Stick around, folks, for this last segment, okay? We'll be back in just a second. All right, folks, it's Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust. I want to thank you all for being a part of the broadcast today. And we're almost done, folks. I mean, time is going so fast. I mean, just so fast. I can't believe it. Before we get going too much further, so many of you know about what happened this weekend, and we talked about this just briefly in the last segment, the No Kings Rally. The No Kings Rally, which was held yesterday. Was it yesterday? I forgot. I wasn't watching it. Didn't even pay attention to it. I know a lot of people never paid attention to the thing. It was happening all over the place, where you've got a bunch of geriatric folks. And that was the thing I did notice. I did notice something about most of the people that were in the No Kings Rally were over the age of 50. Okay? Most of them, and many of them were in walkers. And it was like watching old hippies thing, you know? Other than the fact that these folks weren't smoking dope. That's really what it was. But there was also a very obvious addition to the folks that were out there in the No Kings Rally. And for those of you who don't know what the No Kings Rally was, basically, and I'll just kind of sum it up for you. No Kings Rally was basically a bunch of disgruntled folks who say that there is no king in America. They say that President Trump is saying that he's king because he's doing his job, and so they're not happy with what President Trump is doing. But I want to remind these folks that there is a king in America. Yeah, and his name is Jesus. Yeah, if you're a Christian, you're a Bible believing, you're a Bible believing church going folks, you know that there is a king in America and has always been a king in America. His name is Jesus. And yes, a lot of folks, you may not even follow him. Guess what? In America, but guess what? You are under his umbrella, and you are living under his rules. You are living under his protection in America. Because if it weren't for Jesus Christ and his precepts being the reigning rule in this country, you would not be being able to even have a No Kings Rally. You wouldn't be able to have the freedoms you have. See, in America, you guys, I want to say this as gently as I can. We live under a Judeo-Christian ethics principality and province, okay, for lack of a better way of putting it. All of our laws, our cultural norms, our money that we use, the way we even do things in America are all Christian. When this country, and I'm going to run on a tangent and I'll run out of time here for the show, but that's all right. The way this country was set up was these 55 guys got together and they said, you know what? How can we create a government that is going to be the most profound thing that there is on this planet? We don't want it to be like Britain because they've got a king and we don't like that. We don't like that whole monarchy thing. But oh, wait a minute. And somebody says, you know what? Our founding fathers, the people who came over here, the people who came across on those boats, they came across here to spread Christianity. And the basis for everything they have is in the Bible. The Bible has the truth. The Bible has all the rules for great living. And so what they did is they basically made a country based upon the Bible and its precepts. Charitability, or to be charitable, to have rules, to that you have inalienable rights. Okay, all those things are Christian. And so all these folks that are out there going, oh, we hate Trump, or America sucks, or anything like that, I want you to understand something, folks. If it were not for Christianity, you would not even have an America. You wouldn't have an America at all. It'd be some kind of thing, but it would not be America. Certainly would not be the place where everybody comes to be to be free, because there wouldn't be any freedom. Okay, you'd be living under some kind of rule. I don't know what it would be, but it would not be the rule here. You live in a great country, you guys, and because of that, we are so grateful. Anyways, we've run out of time, folks. Want you to check out again the show next week, folks. It's going to be fun. There's going to be so much other things that are going on, and check us out throughout the week on our Facebook page. You can check us out on our YouTube channel. We'll update every once in a while on our YouTube channel, but definitely on our Facebook page. You can see that all week long. We update that continually. And if you'd like to get your copy of this broadcast, go to Spotify, go to Apple Podcast, where you can get this. Okay, just In God We Still Trust. This has been Pastor Sherman Ray for In God We Still Trust. Thank you once again for being a part of the broadcast, folks. We will see you again next week for more of In God We Still Trust. You guys have a wonderful weekend in the Lord. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.